Hello, namaste, namaste. Hello, namaste.
Hello, good morning. Today is May 17. We passed Lukla yesterday. We left Lukla this morning. We got to Lukla yesterday. The sounds of the yak bells and the dingle dangles
of construction,
the Dudkosi River, and a beautiful day today. So I'm hoping that we can do one more exercise today with Chhitiz, and I think we have 2 days of good weather. That should take us to Namche, and then maybe a few days of rest again. The cold is behind us, so it feels really nice to be out in the sun, enjoying the warmth of the sun. So I hope today the sun will be out all day, our clothes will dry, and we'll have a A1 day.
back on the trail again.
On the trail again.
The weather today is so good. I'm enjoying the work really very much. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's warm. The sun's good. The scenery is awesome. And yeah, such a beautiful place, Lukla. I'm already enjoying it.
So we got about 50 minutes ahead of Lukla. I had coffee at this place last time I was here as well. Nepali coffee, and I'll show you the shop. And they have a cafe roaster. Hey, कतिको use गरिएला त roaster चाहिँ. But I opted to have banana lassi instead. And guess how much the price was? $500 for banana lassi. And I'm telling Chhitiz, we better get some good content because it's a pretty good investment for a few minutes of break. We will probably be in Monjo today, and we should get to Namche tomorrow afternoon. There's some sunshine outside, so we haven't seen the sun in a few days. I am just waiting to get out there in the sun and soak up the warmth. Let my bag dry up a little bit too. It's been rainy and soggy all week for us. So it's a positive feeling when you find sunshine. Sunshine always brings a smile out on you. Yeah, that's it. Bye-bye. So we left Lukla at 9:15 this morning. We reached here around 12:30, so about 3 hours 15 minutes. We made it to Phakding. Phakding has just started. It extends a little further. Then what we're planning is maybe go to the edge, go further up, find a decent place where we can crash for the day. Maybe dry our clothes a little bit while the sunshine is still out there. Grab a couple of hours of drying the clothes. So Chhitiz is enjoying his fried rice, and I couldn't finish my pasta. I needed more cheese. Lunch at Phakding is over. The podcast from the roof of the world is still on, and still got a couple of hours of uphill climbing to Monjo, our stop for the night, and Namche tomorrow. Namche is where I plan to take a few days off and do some work, get some work done. Maybe the story that I've been trying to write, or the message, or the content for the podcast from the top of the world is going to be revealed while I'm having a good downtime at Namche. So it would also complete a week of traveling, and it would allow us to recuperate, get some rest, get some clothes washed, looking fresh and moving forward. Off to Monjo now. This is the beautiful hotel lodge we are staying at. This is a slight walk further up from Phakding, the bridge, and you look to the right and you'll see this beautiful lodge. It's a bit on the higher side, expensive side, but hey, if you can have a little luxury, why not?
This is our room, guys. In Phakding.
3000 a night.
3000 a night, and with attached bathroom and toilet, hot water, and electricity,
and
and
a
what-
view.
and a view, of course.
Jai Sambo. Jai Ashish Dai. There are many different kind of people, right? And it is my belief that once a person has gone to a certain level of maturity, or is on the way of getting to that point, people will start having certain questions in their mind, and some will find answer in different things, like some will find answer in alcohol, and you get my point. They'll look for escape. And there is a certain breed of people that like being in nature, and there is a certain benefit that they derive from it. So those are the people that I'm talking to. Is that we live in a very connected world today, in a very hyper connected world. So Chhitiz right now told me he has doubts about what the fuck am I doing here, and like what is the ambition. So what my point is that what the paradox of life right now is that we move really fast in so many different things, but the meaning of life lies in slowing things down, and that's where the answers come to you. That's where, if you are a seeker, if you are somebody that enjoys being in nature, being in solitude, being with yourself in some ways, and not to use it to further put you into more further depression rather than to get out of it. And I see young people today, and even the middle generation like mine, way too connected, way too bombarded with data, information. Having information and having knowledge is two different things. You might have all the information in the world. You have Google on your fingertips. Anything you want to know about, you can find out. But having knowledge is something else. So if people believe that, what I do here and what I've learned from other people also has benefit in that regard, gaining knowledge about yourself, then I think they should come to the Himalayas. So the owner of the hotel lodge that we're staying at, and Chhitiz suggested that we go to Agumba. That's about a half an hour hike from
the hotel, and the nice hotel owner walked us all the way to where we are now and told us which way to go, and also told us a little history about this area, about this place, about how important this particular Gumba is, and how it was also affected by the earthquake. There was some landslide right behind us here, and it took some effort for the locals to get the construction of the road done, all those things. So the hike begins.
So I came all the way up to the Gumba, and it seems that the Gumba is closed right now, and some of the construction work is going on in the Gumba, so there's not much happening, no prayers, no monks here. And as I stayed down, I think he made the right decision, but the view from here is absolutely gorgeous and I'm loving it. I'm gonna stay here for 15 minutes maybe, and I'll head back and meet Azizai down. We just got back from the Gumba, and we're at our hotel room, and we've been thinking about doing a short podcast session, but
We'll do a Q&A.
so rather than making it a traditional podcast, we're gonna do a Q&A session with Ashish, and I'm gonna ask some questions related to the notes that he has prepared before coming to this trip. So Ashish, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Okay then, let's get started. Okay.
Hey, we are in Phakding, like Chhitiz said. We did a small, short hike to the Gumba. Chhitiz did. I didn't. I went half the way. I chilled out at one point for a while, just stared at one of these big mountains that we'll show you in the video, right next to where we're staying. We're staying at a very nice hotel today, pampered a little bit. And since we have some time in between now and dinner, and we're also here not just for recreation, also for work, so Chhitiz and I decided, let's do a Q&A, let's go for it.
So Ashish, there's one point in your note, 88 to 74 story. What is that?
My whole life I was called Mote.
Mote. Okay.
And even by people that were more mote than me.
Moter than me.
Moteer than me. And you guys know who I'm talking about, some of my closest friends. But it was more like a pet name. But it came from me, the fact being me turning chubby right around, let's say, around after SLC. I started gaining some weight. And that gaining weight process didn't kind of go down, or I never was very serious about health and diet, that sort of a thing, for a long period of time. So when I left for US, I was probably weighing maybe 70 kilos. But when I came back, I was probably 90 kilos, close to 90, hovering around 90 kilos. I say 88 because I remember the day I decided that I was going to lose that weight. And I weighed myself, I was 88 at that point.
Okay.
But I was around 90, 91 at some point in my life, which was, by definition, now I was a mote.
Okay.
Also, because there was an incident where my now wife, then just a dating girlfriend, Unewala wife, she made fun of this factor as well. Not in a way to hurt me, but because the way she is, she's very blunt and she'll say things right in front of your face. And she said something, and boy, did that hurt when it comes from a girl you like, and it hurt. And I decided that I was gonna lose weight, and I decided that I also tried like going to gym. None of those things worked for me, and I knew I had to find something else, which is, to some extent, I found some of my friends who played sports, so I started joining them. But even that was not consistent. They wouldn't be, they're professionals, so it was always difficult to take time out for these kind of activities. So I had to find something that gave me joy while I did something. And not felt like torture, like I felt when I was in a gym. I just felt out of place, which is I didn't belong there. So I adopted trekking, and I did 3 treks that year, and I dropped from 88 to 74, and right before I got married.
Okay.
So when people saw me, people were like, "Damn!" Yeah, and that feeling is always nice, when you achieve. When you set your mind to do something physically also,
Yes.
being heavyweight and obese can mean a lot of difficulty for a lot of people. But I am a small proof that people lose so much weight when
Yes.
they're motivated. But it's a proof that 88 to 74 story is that if you're truly motivated to make a change, then you can bring that change. Sometimes you slack and then you gain that weight again. So even before I came on this trek, I wrote down, I took down my weight. I was at close to 80.
Okay.
So I've gained 5 or 6 kilos again, and I want to lose this again. And I attribute that to being just lazy in Kathmandu, eating home food and not having enough activities. So from this point on, when I go back from the trek, and I'll have lost a few kgs for sure, I'm going to keep that momentum going and maintain my diet and go back to maybe 70. That's the target now. So that's the 88 to 74 stories. If you are obese, if you are fat, if you've been called fat all your life, then tell them to fuck off. Find something you want to do, you enjoy, and do it like a madman or a mad girl, and show them what you're made up of. That's the 88 to 74 story.
We also hear some people saying that embrace yourself as you are. Like if you're thin, embrace the thinness you have, the fatness, embrace the fatness how fat you are. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay. Embracing yourself if you're fat is being stupid, because there's if people see me and they tell me embrace yourself as is, I would probably tell them to fuck off, because there's diabetes in my family, it's in my lineage, and if I continue with my weight and not maintaining a certain kind of physical health, then loving myself is not going to help. I'm going to end up in hospitals. I'm going to take a lot of pills. The idea of embracing yourself has to be more about the person you are from within, not externally. It is very easy for somebody that looks very beautiful to say to somebody that is butt ugly, embrace yourself. You don't know how difficult life is for that person to embrace himself or herself. So I think it's just a farce, and I don't adhere to that fact that if I also see plus size modeling these days.
Yes.
You shouldn't be encouraging people to be obese. That is actually being stupid, counterproductive. It's okay to tell that person that because you are equally as good as anybody that's thin or thinner or fitter. It's already in your head. If you change your mind, then you can actually go out and be that person, is how you should tell that person to embrace himself. Yeah, as in, embrace the person that's in you, the confidence that's in you already, not the physicality, because the physicality is going to bring in a lot of trouble in the future. So if somebody is telling you embrace yourself, you're fine the way you are. You yourself know deep inside. If you're a fat person or somebody that has a self-esteem issue, will always have that self-esteem issue. So just saying embrace yourself is not going to help. That person will only be happy when they see themselves in that other situation. For me, it was being heavy and then seeing believing in myself that I can lose weight and losing that weight.
Okay.
Gave me the idea that okay, now I can say okay, still because of that overweightness, I still have some body weight issues still now, but I'm more confident in that regard, and I also know that if I put myself back on that track, then I can get back on that rail. I've done it before, so I can do it again. So don't impress yourself just because somebody else tells you. How does it make you feel? If it doesn't make you feel happy, then buddy, I'll go out and change it.
So throughout the trek, I have been noticing one thing about you, that you don't talk to other tourists much. Why is that? Because what I have been seeing, like in a mainstream way, that all the trekkers communicate with each other in the dining room, in the common room. They share their stories, but you are not the type that
I
does
did
it.
that a lot, so I know there's a disadvantage to it. And I'm here to kind of remain within myself, and taking on other people's energy is not going to help that. And people has all kinds of energy. So if you sit down and you don't feel like, I talked to the hotel owner
Yes,
here
yes.
because I felt a definite connection with
Yep,
him.
yep.
If I feel a connection, it's not just about tourists. If I feel a definite connection with somebody and if I feel engaged,
Yes.
then I'll talk. But just to make small talk is not for me.
Okay.
And that I realized after doing almost 10 treks
10
now.
treks.
And I've done my share of talking and making friends during the trek. It just affects you in a different way.
Okay.
So I just stay away from that energy.
I want to bring in another point from your note, that is loss of friends. So what does it actually mean? Have you lost a lot of friends that has changed your life drastically, or that's some kind of that regard?
Yeah. Loss of friends in some way, loss of love.
Okay.
Loss of love. Yeah, I've shared this with the world that, in my storyteller's story also, somebody breaking your heart also is loss of friend. But I also lost people in terms of losing them through mortality. They are no more in this earth. So couple of people that really had a special place in my heart. Like everybody that knows me knows Kaka, Niranjan Adhikari. He was the person with me when I was growing Red Mud, just like Ritesh, Pravesh and my core team. He was one of my soldiers, and he lost his life because of leukemia. And another was the oldest member in our team, Deepak Dai. Deepak Dai also lost because of heart attack. And recently I lost Suhas Dai. And all three of these deaths of people that have impacted my life teach me that, life is very short. We're only here for a certain amount of time. So it gave me a good wake-up call as to, I'm also already 37. So, there's only so much life left for me. And I have so many dreams to accomplish within that time frame. So there's no point in sitting around and thinking about it. It's just best to just go out and do it. So I think I learned something from loss of friends, and that definitely did help me look at life differently, which is, it's not infinite, it's finite. It's going to end. If it's not going to be today, then it's going to be tomorrow or day after, one of these days. So every day we wake up, then we say, thank God I'm alive, I'm breathing. You go out there, either you have a blast, you enjoy that day, or you work hard like a dog and you make something out of that day, or you just spread love, kindness, happiness around you, and be happy, because life is very short. That's what I learned from that.
Okay, this one's my personal question. So as it may sound stupid, but I want to tell you that I can sense some kind of aura from people. Like if they are releasing negative energy or positive energy. Like I told you a few days ago that while walking through a forest, I could sense the trees were being alert. I don't know if you believed it or not.
Yeah, there's no stupid question in my book.
Okay, so why I am in this trek is because I sense a kind of positive aura from you, and through which I think I can seek something, I can learn something, some kind of spiritual vibe coming out of you. You are not the super duper Baba kind of spiritual person, but you have some kind of spirituality in you, and I am also a very believer in spirituality. So what I want to ask is, how does one tap into such kind of spiritual pedestal, not the ultimate Baba kind of pedestal, but in a mindset that one can see life in a different perspective. Like you said that life is finite, not infinite. How do you adapt to that and be happy and be happy knowing that it's gonna end, but still I'm gonna work my ass off. Why?
Yeah, but see, why are we on top of the food chain or as humans? Because apart from all the animals that God the Almighty has created, we're the only one with Vivek,
Yes.
with Chetana,
Yes. Yes.
Chet. All living things have prana, but Chet only human beings and certain animals have. So the degree of Chet also matters,
Yes.
and we have the ability to increase or grow in our Chetana.
Yep.
And what you said about the positive aura, I don't consider stupid at all. I've heard that from other people as well, not just younger than me, older than me also have told me. I don't take that as something like you said as well. Is for me, spirituality is very individual, very very individual. That's why I don't like to come and preach like a school of thought
Yes.
onto you. You like preaching, if your path to spirituality is by reading books of Osho, go for it. If it is through reading Paulo Coelho's books, go for it. If it is Tony Robbins, go for it. If it is Robin Sharma, go for it. If it is Dalai Lama, go for it.
Go for it.
Whoever, Sri Ravi Shankar, whoever pleases your heart and like good, what is that aura that you talked about? Is there, people have talked about the fact that just being present in, just being in the presence of your guru can teach you. So what you're saying is, how can I learn that from you or tap into that? I just said be, just be, just be aware, and be aware of those small nuances, because that's a sign that you are already receptive towards those kind of things. Somebody else might sit here and completely not even feel that from me, but if you do, you're not the first person to tell me, and many others have now asked me to go out there and spread it. So I've made a promise to myself also, and this whole video and this whole trek is about this, is that I want to help others, because I was a very disturbed, troubled, lost young man, and I somehow found my way by bouncing off things and meeting these very important people in my life that kind of gave me those balance, advice, spiritual advice, whatever. But what I feel now is that I can see the youth in Nepal is so big. If they're not connected to their spiritual side, then they'll only, like you said, learn to work hard, like a dog,
Like a dog.
like a rat, like a donkey, like the donkeys we saw on this trail, back and forth. They have no chit. All they do is they carry that load for some guy, and they get their little pouch of makai in the evening and some cold water, and that's how life becomes. So what I'm trying to give through Mero Doi Paisa is the fact that I'm not saying listen to me, I'm not saying listen to any specific person. What I'm saying is start seeking and start discovering this energy, start asking questions, start going into nature where there is so much abundance of silence that those things will come to you just by being in presence of things. Like I've also mentioned, just walking this trail, we went to a Gumba today.
Yes.
A lot of very spiritual and divine people have walked these trails. Just like when I was walking, I was just thinking somebody much holier than me, and more spiritual and more enlightened and more aware must have walked these trails.
Yes.
Just walking those trails might give me something if I'm receptive.
Yes.
So that's the
Exactly.
thing. That's the thing.
Like the whole point of this trek is about training me in terms of spirituality, leadership, and personal growth. So why can't you train me or any youth from Nepal or anywhere else in the world in our studio back in Kathmandu? Why are we here in Everest region in the nature?
Okay. I mean, it's possible. We can. It's the same thing. Like I said, I don't know much earlier that we talked outside.
Yep.
I talk about information and knowledge. Information I can give to people about small tips and tricks and small things that
it's worked for me in some ways. There are so many books, so many content out there. People can get that from anybody. But if somebody wants to kind of not just have information, but have the knowing, the true knowing, the true meaning of knowing would be not by listening to somebody or reading somebody, by experiencing it, by finding out from within, from yourself, finding those answers. So why I like the extended walks in nature is because the amount of stretch of time, the stretch of silence, the stretch of centeredness in some ways. Because when I'm walking, every step I take, I'm like, when I step onto that rock, I'm watching it, not just blindly just going, it's just, I'm at a much higher level of that receptiveness. Because in the same context, you may say in our Ved, Purans and these old texts, why did these Rishi Munis go into the Himalayas and the mountains? Because there's something about this place. And to tell you, I will only be informing you right now. You can only know that when you're in the presence of these
when you experience
my mountains.
experiences.
You can look just like you have.
Yes.
You've watched Chhitiz has watched all the videos when it comes to travel and trekking. And I was quite surprised. A lot of people, before they start traveling, they don't know much, but he's looked at a lot of videos. So you are only informed in that.
Yes.
You have information about where this is. So when you say Ahmadablam, then it's in my mind.
Right.
And
Yep.
when I say Ahmadablam, I can raise Ahmadablam in front of me, right in front of me,
Yep.
even when I'm not in presence. Because at least once I've been in its presence,
You have experienced it.
I've experienced it, so I can relive it. Knowing is different than being informed. And
Is this how wisdom
yeah,
is? Information and wisdom are two different things.
It is.
Yes. So is this what being a wise person means?
It is true. What Chhitiz said is, I think today's generation and most of the people today in today's world, we're very well informed. We are very aware of what happens in USA and the whole global context. We can have it sitting right here. As soon as I get connected to the Wi-Fi in this hotel, I'm back connected to the global fuckery. So what I'm saying is that those information, do they all really matter to you? You individually, personally? If you need that information, you can always go there and seek it. But what really takes a person from a stagnant mindset to a growth mindset is when that person is in the quest of knowing more, of becoming a wiser person. How does one become wiser? By making mistakes, by experiencing, by putting our own self into situations where we normally wouldn't be, because that checks our, that puts a check and balance into our system, where if you're just rudimentary doing the same shit over and over again, there's not much challenge. For this mind that the Almighty gave us is, this mind is capable of also attaining enlightenment, they say. I don't know how that experience is, but all I know is that the practice has to start somewhere. And to get to that place, it's same like climbing mountains, is you have to start from the bottom, from like Phaplu we did. It's a slow trajectory, slow progress. And then as soon as that person starts doing these things and doesn't hesitate to make mistakes, doesn't hesitate to learn, doesn't hesitate to experience new things, then that person starts to become wiser on his own, on her own, and things that that person will learn from school books, college books, professors, lectures are references as to how they can use that into things they will discover and know in their quest for career, in quest for personal growth. But if that person is not aware about these things, you will never see, he or she will never seek these kind of things. They will dig up a bigger rabbit hole for themselves, which is they keep going into that whirlpool of, and I hear very young people being depressed. This is the reason, is because you keep digging that hole and burying yourself into it. And
when it's too late sometimes to try to come out of it, and then there's no helping hand to pull you out as well. So if you're not receptive, the whole idea of this whole trek is that to spread that message that, you know, heighten your sense of your history, your culture, your personal belonging, your family history, who you are as a person. Those things will enrich you, and those things will make you a wise person. And you know, you could probably find a very highly educated person, PhD, and maybe even higher than that. मलाई त त्योभन्दा बेसी आउँदैन आउँदैन. So, you know, those things, do they matter? Does that, sometimes those people are unable to give somebody like you, very young, anything worthwhile to take away besides the lesson, or that they're, because I think the wisdom comes from experience. So I have some wisdom from the Himalayas, I think, and it affects me a certain way. That's why I choose to come to the Himalayas. There's definitely a presence of a positive energy here. There's a lot of this is the playground of the wildest dreams, like Tenzing and Edmund, and the ones that couldn't make it even before that, the British climbers. So many that have perished on the way trying to, you know, seek this crazy dream of theirs. And even ours right now is the highest podcast from the world. Ours is a modest one, but it's crazy enough for us. So, you know, set those ambitions and, you know, make these journeys worthwhile. And it's just a treat to the eye just to look at nature, at least for me. That's why. Long answer.
ठीक छ.